Hello, everyone. Welcome to this live transmission. Here we are again, going to be sharing with all of you, beautiful soul tribe, a little bit more of information regarding to this super important topic that never goes old, which is the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the different ways of approaching to it or to them, and which actually brings us to the co-creation of this new earth. It's like having a problem to be solved and going year after year after year after year trying to pass the exam as a collective, and the A plus, or even like the B plus hasn't been achieved yet again as a collective, but we're definitely getting there. I can feel it. I don't know how about you, Adriana, but I can definitely feel it. I can see how and feel how our bodies, our minds, our consciousnesses are being restored and prepared to receive this liquid crystalline lattice, this Christ consciousness. And to achieve that, therefore, the divine union needs to be. So again, there are different ways of approaching to this divine feminine and masculine, from a scientific way, from a spiritual way, from an hermetic way, agnostic, social, cultural, anyway, you name it, it's there. The thing is that when we unify all those concepts into basic forms, even though there is many complex information, so much complex information, which we will be going into a little bit right now, hopefully not in a complex way. We will try to break it down as much as we can for all of you. And of course, thank you for all your comments. Feel free to ask questions. Feel free to share your stories. Last time we had a beautiful, beautiful transmission, as always, with the love coming from all of you, beautiful family. So again, this is an open space for everyone to share from this love, coherence, and wholeness. So having said this, welcome, Adriana.
Well, thank you, YssaH, for having me. Goodness, this goddess series, quite a bit have been beautiful, developing all this divine feminine between you and I, right? Merging together. We are being birthed in a new reality. Jupiter, the planet of expansion and good luck, just flipped into Leo yesterday by Western Zodiac, just to clarify that. And as a result, we're now getting expanded. We're feeling that, that Jupiter in Leo, that sun, solar flares as of yesterday, so many solar flares popping through. Every time a solar flare pops off the sun, it just goes bzzz through your body and kind of shifts and changes you. So as a result, we're changing, we're shifting, we're upgrading every time. So everybody make sure you're drinking a lot of water, you're grounding, you're taking magnesium, you're taking minerals, you're also taking magnesium baths or Epsom salt bath as a result, because these upgrades are no joke. And so here we are. First 6 months of the year was changing of the guards. Today's July 1st. So we're completely stepping into new reality. And it was so interesting. I was talking to a good friend of mine that I usually talk to, and we made that observation that from last night till today, we're in different timelines again. We shifted and we changed, right? So it is so really important that we are staying in our true north, which is exactly what we'll be talking about, right? Staying in this true north and how everything is beautifully connected. So I'm so looking forward to this live. It's going to be tremendous. There's wealth of information from YssaH that is
Thank
going to come
you.
through. You just came back from England, so I want to hear all about it, please. Stage on to you.
Well, it will be coming through both for sure.
Yes.
We're a power dynamo. And so, well, of course, a lot of things took place in England, some major activations. There was one at the Merlin's Cave, and this is a very special cave because it's by the ocean, it's by the sea, and you can only enter at very specific periods throughout the day when the water is not so high. So you have like a time frame of a few hours to be there, and then you have to, run away. Well, not run away, but like gracefully exit the cave before it floods. It gets flooded.
Mm-hmm.
And you inside of it. So um, there was a lot of codes that came through. Um, a lot of the presence of the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
I was connecting a lot with white dragons. This is something, it's just very much connected to me. I know there are many, type of colors of dragons. For me, I have a huge connection with white dragons. And for me, these
Mm-hmm.
are one of the first founders, speaking of this race. They came as seeders of life in this planet, and actually, they can show even to us in, like, for instance, in the image of the dragon with the sphere. They are showing to us the primordial form of technology that now we see in the spectral spheres, like, for instance, in the Buga sphere. They are reverse engineered technology from those spheres, like the sphere of like the dragon sphere, which are crystals, and that those crystals generate such a high coherence because they are created through plasma technology. Like, for instance, the crystal skull of Bill Homan, that he says that he feels that it was shaped, with plasma technology, with a plasma field, with plasma tools. It was shaped. This is why it's so flawless, so perfect. Well, the same with this type of spheres. The very same breath of the dragons is plasma. It's plasma at a very high, very heated plasma. Um, we say it's fire, but again, let's say that mythology tells a story in a very specific way, and when we see all these ancient depictions, not only of dragons but also of people, and some like waves coming out of their mouths, it could be the bread of life. It could be the plasma, because
Mm-hmm.
ultimately through plasma is that we are creating. It's that
Mm-hmm.
primordial form of conception, which we will be talking about in a bit when we go through the parthenogenesis, that virginal form of conception that is achieved through plasma
Mm-hmm.
technology. plasma intelligence, plasma consciousness. But anyway, we will get there. So now about the messages. So let's say that there is a missing link, or there was a missing link between the dragons, what we know as Tiamat, very much related to the fallen of Sophia, and also with Ma'at, which is known as the Netheru of justice, and balance and harmony, and also with overall the primordial feminine, Isis, Ishtar, Astarte, you name it. We were even talking about the other day about how a lot of religions have removed the feminine from the sacred texts. I can mention Allah, they removed Allahi. I can tell you Yahweh, they remove Astarte. But again, it's not something against the religion at all, by no means. It's just when someone writes a story, it's not the story coming direct from source, because it already is being imprinted with the consciousness of whoever is writing it. And there are different purposes, of course. So just addressing, like how this missing link, why was it taken out? Because, for instance, we see in these ancient texts the figure of Astarte. She was known as the beloved of Yahweh, you know? And interestingly enough, that beloved is not mentioned in any part of the Torah that I know of. And if there is, please let me know. But it's also connected to growth, like it's mentioned, like in other forms. So ultimately, before all of these touches of, and again, regarding to the messages that I received in the cave, before any form of conception of the divine feminine through any filter, or the divine masculine through any filter, we have source. What does that source tell us? Well, that's a unique message that only you can tap into, beyond text, beyond books, beyond, it's like me, in my case, me connecting with that Merlin's cave. So for me, the message was the restoration of that missing link beyond the distortion of what is the fall of Sophia. What truly is the connection between that dragon race, the true north, the I, and the genetics that are present in the human, and that are the ones that one of the genes that empower mostly the plasma body. Because if we go, I know that, just to summarize now with this, if we go through the reptilian brain, I think everyone knows about the reptilian brain. And this reptilian brain is it's mainly considered, like the most archaic structure within our brain. And so there are very specific behaviors in this reptilian brain that are very much connected to the reproduction instinct, to the survival instinct and mode, and that at some point it could appear that is ruling the structure of our reality. When you go to school, it's they teach us, you are born, you grow, you reproduce, and then you die. That's it. you know Happy life. And on one side, that's very simplistic and very truthful. On the other side, the intention where this is heading to is just in a very automatized form of existing, of existence. So now I would love to know what you have to say, Adriana. What do you think about this missing link? When I was there singing, I could see all the resonant cavity chambers across the earth, caves, cenotes, as these energetic wombs of the earth where a lot of dragons reside and that are holding treasures, are holding spheres. What do those spheres encode? Why are they protecting them? What is the connection beyond the mythos? And when we start tapping into the nature of reality, how does that reflect in our daily life basis through the very same technologies that we see, like as the spectral spheres? How is this dragon code and why is it so present? Pendragon, we were talking about the lineage, all these medieval shields, all these stories about the evil dragons or about the white and like the light dragons. We know that Tiamat, for some people, is very much connected the to the to the dragon. For some, what do you think about that, Adriana?
Oh my goodness. So you unpacked this amazing package. First of all, when you were singing in the Merlin's caves, I was singing with you. You knew I was there with you.
Yeah,
I couldn't
absolutely.
stop singing over here on my side in California, connected through the earth. I represent the green dragons. Hello, everyone. We're the healers of the earth. We're the green plants and the healers in every shape, form, or way. They come in every color, these beautiful dragons. We have red ones, fiery ones, we have yellow ones, we have blue ones, black ones, right? Representing the voids. So you get every shape, size, form, and a way of them. They are connected to what I love so much that you talk about primordial, original matrix. That's who built it. It was them. They were the ones who seeded the Tiamat first, and they still exist on that timeline. So it's all about which timelines do we plug in. And it was a conversation that I had with a friend of mine yesterday. I said, depends what timeline you choose. And then he said, depends what timeline your soul chose that you're going to come in this exact time, right? And make a difference and change. And it's very subconscious opposed to, what you're consciously choosing. That too. So you're absolutely right. They always have a pearl of wisdom, pearl of energy. To me, that's a bowl of creation of the unlimited potential. Those pearls, those bowls that you see, your artifacts have a lot of bowls of potential that you plug into. And that's what I call the 0 point in astrology, which is the entry point. Right now, we're still currently 0 point of Jupiter in Leo. What did you create yesterday / today? Every time you get a 0, unlimited potential. And some of those orbs, if you see them in a movie, they have like those sparkles in them, right? So it's like that unlimited. What are you going to pull in and manifest and create on these? Why do you think the solstice, every solstice is a 0 point of that new time, right? So speaking of the time, speaking of the priestesses, every one word you said, the name you named, as you spoke the name, activated the vibration and brought it into our consciousness on this live. Once you know, name Sophia, that wisdom of Sophia just blew, right? I see her as blue, like you have that beautiful blue background I saw that deep royal blue of Sophia take place, right? And then you spoke about Ishtar. She's also blue and gold, right? That was another energy that was being brought in. So that is what these bowls dragons are holding on to, are all of those energies, old primordial, beautiful, strong, powerful energies that come through us, that we have in our blood. Again, we will be talking about the blood and the lineage that we have, and the importance of why each one of us carries something, and we have it, and that's what it's called, the passion. What is your passion that you have to follow, right? That is what is in your blood. What feeds your soul? What makes you feel alive, right? They're like, what makes you feel, oh, right? That's the dragon.
The
Now you
dragon.
heard the
Yeah,
dragon,
yeah,
right? Like, oh, it just really lights your passions and your power, right? And empowerment, right? What is that divine feminine empowerment, YssaH? We've been talking and touching and dancing. Mine is bright red, yours is dark red. Look at, your colors that you're carrying. You have the Pendragon colors. That is what you're bringing today. I'm bringing in the pure fire of creation today with that Jupiter in Leo, because I have Mars in Leo. So that's what I'm channeling. I'm all bright red today for everybody, sharing that blessing. And then what we always talk about, who do you talk to? Who do you listen to? Who is penetrating your field? Whose field are you penetrating and downloading? How connected all of this is. So would you like to start with time? Would you like to start with blood? Would you like to start with the names? Where are we going on next? Because it's beautiful.
Well, let's start with a cup of tea. Let's go
Okay.
slowly. I'm just kidding. But
Today's episode is not for the faint of heart. We didn't come here to
yeah,
play,
yeah,
okay?
yeah,
We're red today, so don't play
yeah.
with
We're
us.
we're we're on fire.
I have my dragon right behind me, my red dragon
Yeah.
drum. We're not playing
So
dragons, of
whoever
course.
is afraid of their passion, perhaps this can be a little bit intimidating. This show can be a little bit intimidating for you guys. Just kidding. Just reflecting and honoring in the inner flame, fire, passion of each one of you joining us, and may the fires that are arising in other parts of the planet, like physically, as in Sedona, may that fire transform into the inner fire of the ones living there, bringing in and acknowledging and owning that passion so that they can continue to co creating and creating divine things so that that fire doesn't need to manifest outside for any given reason, which we know that that's another whole topic. So let's just give a response and bring in that fire and reflect it within so that that fire ceases from the outside and starts the procedure of enlightening and powering up that full passion within to continue co-creating those cities of light that will start very much in Sedona. So let's alchemize and torsion that fire. So having said this, okay, so we were talking about the connection of the dragon and those spheres, which I loved. How did you refer to them? Those what?
A 0 point of creation. It's a
N-
ball of creation.
No, but you said you named them in another way instead of spheres.
Balls of creation, I thought.
I think. No, I think I heard another name. Perhaps I was in another timeline.
Reality.
Shifting. Yeah, so okay.
Pearls of
Okay, I'm still
wisdom.
wearing the same clothes. Okay. Good. If all of a sudden I'm wearing this, then uh-oh. But anyway, so now um the all seeing eye and the true north, let's begin with that,
Okay.
because the true north is that direction. So the true north is where originally the heart center of the earth is aligned to. Besides the axis tilt of 23.6 degrees, that is the magnetic pole. That is the magnetic poles, and thus the magnetic north. But when we're talking about the original north resides deep within the Earth's core, and it's aligned to that point, that coordinate before the axis tilt of Earth came into appearance. What generated that axis tilt? And this is where we dive into Tiamat. A lot of people say that there was this planet named Tiamat that came, collapsed with the Earth, created the axis tilt, and then it is now suspended into particles. Some people call it Maldek. There are many stories, the same as when I ask or you ask someone, what happened in Atlantis? There is like an overall message or an overall story, but there are different uh, branches of information that everyone is accessing to. Why? Timelines, the spatiotemporal constants. So again, opening that for in a little bit later, where when we will be touching on that topic. So now, whether if it was Tiamat that hit the earth, and that is representing very much the fall of Sophia, and then coming into this reality. I mean, as I was saying in the beginning of the transmission, there are the Gnostic texts, there are the religious texts that talk about this primordial feminine falling. A lot of people can relate it even to Lilith, like that corruption of the feminine that then leads to another whole reality, that where ultimately we have even the descent of Inanna or the descent of Isis, that they go deep to the underworld. They release themselves from any layers, and that all in the name of love. So now, taking this into through the lens of quantum physics, what would this represent? For instance, and this is also very much connected to in a very spiritual way, we say that consciousness can only be when we are looking at oneself. If I'm not aware that I exist, if I'm not aware of my actions, it's because I don't have anyhow any way to reflect myself. So then source needed to duplicate itself in order to see itself, and then start that process of descendance, which is lowering the frequencies in order to reach the full spectrum through consciousness. Source is already everything. The thing is that through that process of self recognition, needed to go through all the layers so that source could see itself as a whole. So, throughout that process, we divide feminine and masculine. We divide the potential energy and the kinetic energy. We divide order and chaos and so forth. Why? Because it's that point of recognition. So for some reason, that chaotic aspect was related to the feminine. Why? Because it's the potential energy. Potentiality is not chaotic, forcefully a chaotic field. It can be whatever you choose, as you were saying, Adriana. What do you choose? What timeline? So the potentiality is infinite. It can be whatever you choose. Why was then it related to a chaotic behavior? Well, see the theories of the Big Bang, how the world was created, collapse. Look, the CERN, like fortunately it has been closed as in these periods of 4 years that it normally does, yet this time will be different.
Mhm.
So we have how we had been educated of this particles colliding with one another. So there is an unconscious pattern of thinking that there needs to be destruction in order to create. There is a big part of reality to that. But the question is, does anything really destruct itself, or it is just transforming into another form? And here is where the density comes. If we're looking at this from higher levels, there is of consciousness, there is no destruction, just energy transforming itself into a more evolved form. But if we are looking at this from a material level, from a materialistic reality, of course you will see furniture this being destroyed by a bomb, or a city or whatever, because there is a high separation in what we would call time dilation between the light, the different gradients of light. Not in all realities, it depends. The bigger the gravitational field, the bigger the perception in the separation of the gradients of light is. So then you see like the slow motion picture all the way until this explodes, instead of seeing it in a dynamic form. So when we talk about the divine feminine, just to say an example, and again, it's not forcefully related to women. We have the Sufi monks that they do this amazing derviche dance, and they are spinning on their own axis for hours until like they are really not anymore in the body. So also priestesses would do this dance for everything. They would be dancing for everything. Why? Because it was not just about, oh, I look beautiful. It was the acknowledgement of my geometrical body realigning to the true north. Why? Because my pace in my dance is dictated by my heart. This is why DJs have so much power, because they are dictating the rhythm of the heart of others. They are creating a time frame at that moment. So a very specific angular momentum. They are creating geometries dancing. So when you dance at your own rhythm and your own pace, you are also aligning yourself to the cosmic time, to the true north. Because again, the true north, one of the biggest bliss that comes from the true north is that it's beyond the Gregorian calendar time. That perception of time was created after the equinoxes, the solstices. I'm not saying that the equinoxes and solstices are part of this control system, time system. No, not at all. Actually, it was trying to generate some order within the axis tilt, as a result. But I'm talking about what came after that, even diminishing the solstices and the equinoxes. Like, why do you celebrate that? No, celebrate the 31st of December and the 1st of January. And remember that we were talking about there, just to summarize with this, we say that people or beings come to this reality through one point in the galaxy, which is the beehive cluster. And that they exit through the Capricorn constellation, which is Earth and the seas. And disease is our origin. We are water. We come from water. That's our origin. So why would they settle or anchor the beginning of the year when the transit of the solar ecliptic is in the constellation of Capricorn? What are they trying to anchor in that point of exit? They are trying to anchor that systemical looping so that no one exits this reality through the completion, because it makes no sense. What do you think, Adriana,
Oh
about
my goodness. You said so many pearls, dragons pearls here. Um that it's tremendous, but absolutely yes. I mean, astrological new year, it's the spring equinox, which is March 21st, right around your birthday anyway. So that's what you bring in, the new energies of new life, of new beginnings. That's what you're excellent at. Writing new timelines, architecting new timelines, architecting different possibilities, highest vibration, right? Coming in at the same time. And you also know that around the holidays, which is towards the end of the year, as they planned it in December, January, is when most of the people exit the earth, which you totally hit on point. Those are the exits points. That's when people are leaving, right? Around that new moon in Capricorn, a lot of souls are leaving. Very well known that that's when people like to leave. So it is really, really, really interesting that they try to mess with the time in the order to keep us in a loop. Back to dancing. So when you dance, when you sing, right, you have your own geometrical constellations in you. The way I look at it, you look at it through geometrical shapes. I look at them through astrological chart, right? Like, what did you bring in? What beautiful source expression are you in this moment? What is your vibrational level that your soul is bringing in? So as you dance, your geometry, your planets are moving. You in this moment are the memory of the source itself, holding that beautiful vibration timeline of you. Do you understand the importance of holding the timeline of who you are? Expressing it, speaking through your voice, that vibration, dancing and moving, possibly merging with the other ones. You mentioned DJs and the responsibility of the music and the beat and the rhythm of the galaxy that they hold, right? But same goes with your expression when you speak. Do you speak consciously? Do you express authenticity? Do you speak your truth? Are you present in coherence at every part of yourself? So, do you just go out dancing and you're dancing like this because everyone's doing it? Or as you stand there and you grounded with 2 feet on the floor and you're connected to Mother Earth with your feet and to Father Sky through your, you know, chakras, right? And as you dance, you're aligned with that beautiful true north. You're bringing in your vibration. You're making waves by being truly authentically positive self at every moment, your truth, your passion, your presence, and changing and healing everyone in your vicinity. It is very well known that when these priestesses danced, I've been one of them and I still do it. When I dance for someone, their reality will shift and change, including mine. What is in my manifestation course? One of the first things when we manifest, we got to sing it. We're going to dance it. You're going to be dancing. I will give you songs, manifestation, positive vibration songs, tuned to 432. You're going to be moving those hips. Why? The hips, the sacral chakra, right? This is where
I'm
we
sorry. It's
create.
the hips don't lie.
That's
Yeah.
right. Back to Shakira. Here we are. We're never far from her, are we? She was in Egypt with us too. Anyway, so yes, it is so important that sacred dance imprinting your vibration of you knowing who you are. Why do you think these priestesses danced? Why do you think they kept the time? Why do you think that we have periods, monthly menstruations, bleeding 13 times per year? Why? Why were these priestesses, what were they keeping? Right?
Yes.
How do we keep the time? How do we know what to do? Each season's different. Each year is different. Each constellation changes, and each planet will add a little bit of something to it. We're now in an age of Aquarius. It's been spoken about it since 60s, 70s. We're finally in it. If you plug in and see the songs they wrote and sang, they were talking what the age of Aquarius is going to bring, and here we are now doing it. And look at this new generation, all new babies coming in, pure love. You said it yourself, with correctly aligned heart, the
Yeah.
strength of each one of those. And I love what you touched upon, that there's always a masculine and a feminine, there's always a source reflecting itself. Have you never noticed that when you get into relationship with someone, I don't care what kind of relationship, romantic, not romantic, friendship, they're
Whatever.
always a reflection of you back. And then there has to be a constant, but then it has to be a chaos. I was just talking about that today, that if everything was the same, it becomes boring. There has to be a deviation, there has to be an oddball, there has to be different. And those are my favorite, because that's a progression of the growth. That's a change, source expressing itself through a deviation, through something completely different, so that we're not boring, so that we're not repeating same cycles over and over, because we got to keep growing, right? So it has to get bigger, has to get taller, has to keep changing. That's the beauty of this whole polarity. You're like this and I'm like this. You build and I come and change and shift. It has to be, energy has to keep shifting, it has to keep coiling. Back to what you said months ago. When the DNA wants to change, it coils itself. What does that mean? Whatever it was stuck as now has to get moving, right? How beautiful is that, right? Do we all see the beauty in the opposites that we have here?
Yeah. Yeah. Like, okay, you said again, so many pearls. I'm just trying to,
Decide.
pull them to bring in my circus archetype, to be able to handle all of them with grace. But anyway, no, okay, so you were mentioning the way that relationships interact with one another until you reach that ultimate state, which that's another whole topic, like the twin flame. Because there has a lot of distortion that has been put on that concept. But anyhow, how I say it is like until you reach that state of pure reflection, where that reflection is that as pure as it is, the ultimate difference and polarization that exists within is the very same um, fundamentals of the very same masculine and feminine. Again, beyond gender, you know, it's about the embodiment of those. And then ultimately, there is this magical communion in which you are feminine and masculine, and there is this blend that is all about harmony. Let's shift it. It's about reaching the ultimate harmony. It's like removing layers as you continue to experience yourself throughout different mirrors until there is this full communion of all the ingredients that just works. Not because you're the same, not because you're super different, just because whatever the ingredients are, the complements are, they are creating harmony, because together they are creating, or you are creating a higher truth, you know? So I just wanted to say that. But again, super important that I didn't mention about one of the messages regarding and to Tiamat and Mat and so forth. We were talking, touching upon this last show, which is Tiamat is, in, let's say, Ma'at, which is, according to Septepi ancient texts, was brought when Septepi, which is heaven on earth, ceased to be, because there were disruptions from many types, many kinds. So heaven needed to be removed from earth, which is very much connected to also the galactics leaving earth. So then Ma'at was brought to restore order and harmony. Ma'at is a gematria 6. 6, we know that is related to the, let's say, how I perceive it is 369 vector equilibrium, as Tesla said. So the third would be the information, 3D compressed information. The 6 would be the recreation of source experiencing itself as a finite creation, and 9, infinite manifestation of source. So if we say that Ma'at is a gematria 6, then this means that it's showing the lattice, the matrix that was created for the primordial matrix to regenerate throughout experiences, throughout time, throughout creations, throughout remembrance. And the moment that the great remembering happens, then Ma'at completes itself into a 9, which is the restoration of Tiamat in its highest consciousness, which is the restoration to the true north. Is like, as you were talking about timelines, it's like the, not the video of the scientist from Coldplay, like it goes on rewind and everything, because actually time goes that way. We perceive it the other way, but it's all about going back to the origin. How do you go back to the origin? In a very linear form, which is even how Einstein got into the theory of the relativity, according to what it said, is like his train going in this direction, but he feeling that he was going backwards, you know? So bottom line, we're reaching that point, and here is where the dragon's consciousness come. Imagine that throughout that process of, we know that there are many dragons in stasis, under the sea, under the ice, and they are holding very specific codes that were encrypted before, the, let's say, younger Dryas and Dryas. So all of these spheres are actually mirroring into the spectral spheres, just at different stages of evolution. But as I was saying, these spectral spheres that are appearing now, they are very much mirroring into the primordial ones. So without going into depth to that, because I will be doing just another video for that, the point is that is connected to this topic is that we need to reconnect with those pearls. We need to reconnect with those spheres. If you can track where are those spheres located, if you like grid work, we will be doing that part of that in our retreat, because the spheres represent the arcs of wisdom and knowledge that were stored here on Earth, because Earth is one of the planets that is majorly done or created to store information. Why? because it's one of the planets that is richest in water, the richest in water. So the amount of water that we have is reflecting the one that the planet Earth has. So imagine how much information can be stored on that. So it's important for us to reconnect with that primordial knowledge, because there is where the missing link, that disconnection in the point of creation and manifestation of how the feminine was positioned later on in the mythos of creation as just an extension of a rib, or is that truly mirroring into the chromosomes? There were 24 ribs, God removed one, put it to create Eve, or is he talking about the chromosomes? 24 chromosomes made into 23 chromosomes. So, and that's what leads to genetics, because we can figure out that you were bringing the solar flares, and we talk about that, and the eruptions, volcanic eruptions, and the fire is taking place. What is very much connected, what mythos being is very much connected to the fire, the dragon. So it's another form of, hey, so connecting to that plasma field, and through the plasma field connecting to that ignition of the passion, flame of the heart and spark of the mind, and interconnect in through quantum entanglement with those spheres once located. It's very exciting that we will be tapping into some of that, right, in our retreat. Adriana, what do you think?
Yeah, we are. We're gonna be with the goddess Pele. So, and as you know, that volcanoes have been going on strongly in Hawaii right now. So creating, what does happen when that happens? Everyone will tell you on a big island, every time volcano erupts, goddess Pele is creating more land. She's changing herself and creating more. So it's same with the divine anger, with passion, like you can, why do you get angry? Some of your boundary has been crossed. And what are you gonna do? Ah, right? Like embrace that awe, because it's telling you something needs to shift. Whatever has been happening till now, it's not serving any longer, because all of a sudden you got angry. We get all these angry classes, how to better manage our anger, how to learn to handle this fire inside of us. But anger is the number one thing that allows us to transform and change. I'm not saying express it to ruin anybody else, but learn how to express it healthily in order to bring your change. That's what nature is doing. Nature is teaching us constantly and continuously through the dragons, every element, how to change, how to express, right? How to learn, how to grow. All we have to do is connect more with the nature, meditate more, connect to our true self, back to the heart, the triple flame of truth, Christic flame that sits in a heart, right? Connecting to the true north. Everything, if you read and watch, written all around, every one aspect, wherever you look at, I don't care whichever religion, whatever artifact you're going to name, it's going to have a same thing written in it, that you have to connect to true north, to your heart, find the balance on the inside of yourself, right? Uh, and then keep changing, keep growing. And that's what the divine anger does, that divine passion does. It just combusts, and you're like, oh, I'm going to change that. I'm not going to tolerate that anymore, right? That's the first thing that happens, that conscious, that realization. I am not ever going to. And that's when the shift happens. How many clients do I have? They'll be so nice and taking it. They'll be so nice and taking it. Oh, yeah, I tolerate it. I've been. And then all of a sudden, when they know I'm not going to anymore. And I'm like, okay, see, that's the coil in a DNA. That's the
Yeah.
change. That's the passion. That's the fire. That's the anger. That's the dragon's fire that you're talking about. That's the nature. right? That's just one aspect. So going to Hawaii, we're going to be connecting to Goddess Pele. We're going to be changing, right? There's water, the island, it's surrounded by water. There's going to be a lot of that nourishing, nurturing, loving, caring. And then it's so green. So you're going to be getting healing at the same time. That's tremendous. So
Yeah.
we're going to be connected to all these elements at the same time. It's going to be really beautiful. You will really have major manifestation power that will be shifting and changing, and preparing you for the equinox that's going to be taking place. So, being with us, you will do the inner work of releasing with the fire, right? Shifting, changing, and then healing, and then bringing in the new energies of the water. Yes, please come with us. Come with us. We're going. It's going to be so powerful.
Yes, it is.
Many timelines are going to be converging because it's the sacred place where the chakras are, right? So we're going to be converging across time and space. Whoever feels, guided to be there with us, you're the timekeepers. Your sacred geometry is keeping a timeline, and that timeline's ready to converge, to penetrate with another timeline, right? To change, to shift, balance out, co create together. That's what we do as humans. Why do you think that we need each other? Because we're mirroring continuously, right? Why do you think we need to be surrounded? They say we're so friendly. We need socialization. We need people. Why? You know?
Yeah, yeah, because there is no emergence of consciousness without that reflection. Because even if you reflect yourself in the leaf of a tree,
Mm-hmm.
or in an insect, there
Mm-hmm.
needs to be something, or in the wall, like people who do, like hermit votes, and they are with no one else, but they would be reflecting with something,
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you enter the white room. And I just think that not a lot of people like the white room,
Mm-hmm.
not speaking about abductions, but like what are you or in the Matrix, immediately Morpheus brings something, but anyway, like a seat, it cannot remain wide, everything is impermanence. There always needs to be a point of reflection, of mirroring. And you were talking about the timelines, and dancing, the purpose of dancing. And I wanted to say about this, I as I was saying, when the priestess dance, because they still dance, is allowing your geometrical body to move and create and co-create other geometries with the other people that have their own source code, and amplifying a field of stability, of geometrical harmony, activating the temple, the geometries of the temple, the source code of the temple, or anywhere that you go to. Because as we say, if you are penetrating into the field of one another through a one-on-one physical interaction, whether if it's intercourse or not, or just a conversation, it's just about exchanging codes. What happens at a geometrical level is that you're shifting geometries, you're creating new forms of geometries, of harmonic geometries. So you're doing that with everything. So imagine the amount of light that you're expanding at that holofractal level. And through that motion is that you harness it, with that rhythm. Because then again, when we connect this to the timelines, and the blood that we were talking about, and all these ceremonial practices, there is like this word or phrase related to blood magic, like, okay, so you're having your period, your menstruation, and then instead of throwing the blood in the bucket, you just take it and pour it into the earth, and then you're pouring pure plasma. I'm sorry, where are you? Okay, you're pouring pure plasma into the wherever you're putting it, depositing it, whether if it's the earth and so forth. So you are aligning your life cycles to the earth's life cycles. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
You're very needed.
Oh my.
You must be talking about very important information that the Matrix is trying to stop it, huh?
I know, right? But anyway, so you are aligning, you're reaching that synchronization between your life rhythms, your life cycles, and the earth's life cycles. So every time that you do that, and it doesn't forcefully need to be even, like menstruation blood. People, like for instance, these warriors that would initiate themselves into different titles, they would pierce themselves and have, like get a little bit of blood and then do with that blood different things. Those were the original forms of accessing or using blood in a sacred way. Nothing to do with what the texts have talked about, all this nonsensical form of heart sacrifice and bloodshed everywhere. If that happened was for other reasons, wars and so forth, but the primordial form of actually creating or using this plasma, remove the word blood, because somehow, I don't know if this happens to you, but some blood, oh, are they talking about witchy blood things? It's like, I don't know. But the thing is that if we remove the word blood, we're talking about plasma in its richest form of state at a materialistic level, at a 3D level, 4D level, what is my perception about whether if we're living in a 3D or not, it's very different. But anyway, translating it into its lower frequency state, that is the purest state of plasma in the physical manner. So at a physical state. So you're pouring from that life force, sharing it with total awareness and acknowledgement. And then that, as I was saying, is filling in the plasma channels and vessels of the earth itself. So it's aligning. Moreover, if we add to this the capability of harnessing your own plasma body, which is, once you are the best friend with your blood, with your cells, with your mitochondria, with your neurons, you are being capable to speak their own language. What is their own language? Well, we can summarize it in a very simple manner: love. What is that frequency that is very much related to the divine feminine, not forcefully from women, but from a divine feminine from now? Emotions, right? Love. So, what is the catch on this? And I have mentioned this in other videos. It's the alignment to the true north. Right now, our axis still leads for the divine or the feminine aspect of ourselves to be more emotional. Why? Because the heart is not centered, it's not symmetrical. Once the heart is symmetrical, emotions go paired, coupled and symmetrical in a negantropic form, which means the capability of the masculine to express the feelings as well. That's going to be a huge, huge harmonization at a collective level. But wait, how can I achieve that if I was already born with, my heart with the axis tilt? We can do whatever we choose. We have people that have healed terminal diseases, like, and miracles taking place. You can align your heart to the true north. That is perfectly possible. And you can also, start communicating with all your circuitry, your plasmic circuitry, and start harnessing different amounts of plasma. Why? Because, like, for instance, even parthenogenesis, the virginal conception, this ancient code of Isis, of the Virgin Mary, of, like all these Marys that were capable to conceive life without having intercourse, and then that directed to another form of perception of the new age of not having sex is healthy, whereas actually having intercourse, it's the way to elevate the most low frequency thing that compose us, which is, again, the physicality, our physicality. So it's a way to elevate it. So again, once we start to manipulate this plasma in different forms through tantra, through communicating, remember, plasma is coherence. So the more that you focus. What is for you focus, Adriana?
Being present in one moment fully with all of the parts of you, all of your body's emotional, mental, physical, in this moment and fully aligned. That's a focus. The more you are aligned, the more you are coherent, the easier it is to manifest. Because the more you're grounded, the more you're aligning the top and the bottom, right? With this, you're creating the cross, you're creating yourself. I like what you said about the blood, because, like I said, we have 13 monthlies per year, but also the blood that's coming out of us has stem cells. It has been proven. Stem cells, what is that unlimited potential of creation? They create stem cells out of bone marrow, right, in the order to then inject them somewhere in your body when you have some sort of disease where you're out of balance, so that your body can use those pure, pristine stem cells. And yet, here we are having them each month. That's why people offer them to the earth in that ritual. That's why it was sacred. Who knows? That's why it was as a medicine, blood medicine, right? Like the rituals that you were talking about. When, don't you know, in the movies, even when they create the pact, they will cut one finger and the other finger, and then we merge. Here's the co-creation of us, right? You don't always have to have an intercourse to merge with someone. We talked about that, but when you do, this beautiful dance of energy happens. And then you'll notice, because it's not always that masculine is being the masculine and feminine is being feminine. It's a dance, and it goes back and forth. I tease you, you tease me. I bring out your fire, you bring out my fire, right? Like, it's like this beautiful co-creation, coiling of the DNA of the bodies. And then you connect all the chakras, and then you rise all the kundalini. And in societies of the Mary Magdalene societies, if you've ever read any of the books and the wisdom, at the pinnacle of the connection between the two partners, connecting at the third eye, yeah, the foreheads, ooh, and
Yeah,
then projecting your reality. What do you think pharaohs with, did together as they were doing that sacred intercourse together, creating the realities? They would connect at the third eye and then project as they together, right, climax new reality, or the reality that they envision. And that is one of the secrets, and then they call that a sex magic. um or you can use it for this, or you can use it for that. It holds a lot of power. Why do you think that there's so much, pornographic industry out there? Because they're harnessing everyone's power. When you're watching someone and you're desiring them, and they're taking your desire, taking your power, and they're creating with it, right? It's so important, so sacred, that it's shared with that partner, or shared by yourself if you don't have a partner. Keep it for yourself. Just say, I am using this energy for my own creation. And those are some of the secrets that these priestesses knew, that they held. And that's why we go into the sacred harlot. Let's go into that, into the scarlet letter. I'm
Yeah.
wearing it today. I'm wearing red for the
Yeah.
passion, for the scarlet. You have a, dark red scarlet too. My name's Adriana, A for scarlet letter. Proudly wear it as the first letter of my name. I have three of them.
Yeah.
Adriana, three. So proudly, I own who I am, where I represent, what difference I came to do and change, help others be comfortable with their own sexuality, accepting their own sexuality, that divine priestess, that divine expression of your own power. Because when you harness the desire, acknowledge the desire, you acknowledge your own power right inside of you. Because when you're not feeling guilty or shamed, your sacral chakra, your root chakra belongs to you. And you get to create anything you wish and you desire.
Yeah. Yeah. You made me think about the red color in the root chakra, and how, if we see the, like, to all of the things that they have connected the red, as we were saying, like lost, and like rejective thoughts about, this the red scarlet, or the scarlet letter. um the thing is that we could perfectly have in our root chakra the blue color, without the overlays, the blue color, because that's our root, the earth, the water, you know. So I do feel that the red has been used, if we see in terms of configuration and the spheres. Let's say that there are different spheres, as that's the nature of the of reality of the space memory network. You have voxels, you have PSU, Planck spherical units. So then you reverse engineer that, you create holographic projections, limited projections of those spherical, Planck spherical units, and then you anchor data, algorithms, codes, like in this case would be, okay, so let's connect the red to a highly stimulated state of reproduction, of lust, of acceleration, adrenaline, cortisol, like blah, blah, blah. And then now put that on their root chakra, so that every time that they see red, they feel to anchor those algorithms, those encodings, and then they create an overlay of this holofractal field, and with this type of encodings, so to remove the overlay is actually to, very much to what you were saying, how I perceive it, is tapping into who you truly are, and shameless. And because shame is one of the things that holds you the most back. If you feel shame for any given reason, even if you messed it up, then it's like you are locking yourself down into a state where you cannot shift the pattern, because you don't feel you worth it, or that you're valuable enough to have a second opportunity. And shame was a lot that was imprinted on the divine feminine, like how much of the feminine is not, because they feel that their words, their actions, and again, I'm not talking about genders, I'm talking about divine feminine itself, like even we have a lot of beings that are gender in masculine, but they're feeling very much in resonance with the divine feminine, and they're passing through those wounds of not being heard, of feeling ashamed, of feeling this and that. So overall, the divine feminine has been ashamed big time, yet also the divine masculine has been neglected and castrated big time. You know, we go through the ISIS code, you know, and how the program set, mindset castrated Osiris, like tore him into pieces. And what does ISIS do? She helps to regenerate him through through her plasma body, through her plasma field, and initiating him again into the new seeds, you know, with that golden phallus. Is the golden seeds where finally the priestess would cease the parthenogenesis processes, which is going through through a virginal form of conception, and receives again from the seed of the masculine, entering into a new era of co-creation, of divine union, you know. So but it's through that process. So somehow, if you see it, it's like through the past we're seeing the future. It's like right now the divine masculine, or well, not the divine masculine, the masculine energy, it's being shredded by the mindset, castrating it. How? Because it's showing that there, that control is just an idea. Who's truly in control, you know? So wars and so forth, who's truly in control? The most strong, the strongest one, the most intelligent one? Who control? No one owns the control. So that state of having, because everything is ephemeral again, so that state of acknowledging that all of that is illusory leads to castration, because even the highest form of castration, how I feel it, is the infertility. And I'm not talking about a literal infertility, I'm talking about the lack of creating because an external force is controlling you. And if you control, it's because another force is controlling you. So that's what happened to the masculine. By controlling others, it lost the sense that it was controlling, that it was being controlled. Because remember, and this is how I feel. Of course, you can feel whatever you and think whatever you want to think. The idea of an impulsive feminine is not feminine. It's a toxic feminine that believes that she's being feminine, but it's actually being toxic masculine imposed on the feminine, you know? So that's, and the thing is that once you acknowledge that you have been castrated, that you have stopped creating because your creations are being owned by an external force, then that's where the process of regeneration of the divine feminine comes through the vulnerability of feeling exposed and saying, it's okay, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Through that, all that shame that they put into the divine feminine, they try to remove the capability of the divine feminine of holding the space and vanquishing, torsioning, dissolving any concept or frequency related to shame, because that's one of the biggest powers. What happens with a mother when the child comes, oh mom, this happened and so forth? Don't worry, that's nonsense, my child. You are more than that. What is
Mm.
more of the response of the father? Who did this? Show me, you know? I mean, like going into archetypes, you know, but just playing around, because that can be present in both. Again, it's not about the gender, it's about the energy. So what do you think about that, Adriana?
Oh my God, you said some very beautiful thing. That was so empowering and powerful. When you don't have a guilt and a shame, you're feeling your sacral chakra, you're feeling your desire. right? And why are we having so many issues on infertility lately? And couples having a hard time to conceiving because we're all get stuck at how it has to be. We forget the sacred dance between the two sexes that goes into masculine, feminine. And again, it doesn't matter what sex either represents, because what you said, both have feelings, both have masculine, feminine. So, it's he's gonna initiate this and then she's gonna return it back. And it's like, how do you talk to each other? How much fun do you have with each other with that relationship as you're doing the sacred dance, as you're doing the sacred creation? And there's a lot of empowerment if not feeling guilty, not feeling shamed, if as you're a woman, as you're a man, like, and you feel a desire towards your partner. It's like the most beautiful thing, right? Because your energies are going to merge and you can express that desire. It doesn't always have to be initiated. I have a masculine, I can initiate, right? You have a feminine, you can receive. Doesn't make a difference. One will start and then the energy will come back, and then we'll continue building. That kundalini just keeps building as you're moving through it. And then the importance of the golden phallus. Absolutely. Let's go back to that. Let's go to Egypt. Let's take that apart. I think that each woman or each feminine, whatever you want to call it, that plays and holds that in a relationship will restore masculine divine golden phallus. The importance of it, the importance of seeing the divine in each partner that you're with, when you're with, honoring that restores that inside of them. And I think is as we, meet ourselves as humans, relationships don't work out. We get all damaged because he wasn't good like this and he wasn't good like that. And then we find someone new and we find, we're all excited in the beginning to create with them, right? So that divine passion, that divine kundalini is popping. It's exciting, right? Because that fire keeps coiling back and forth. So I think the restoration happens in both. I think the feminine is always restoring the golden phallus in a new partner whenever they connect together, right? So I think each woman, it's always an Isis. I don't, you could be a woman, you could identify as the feminine. I don't care. You're restoring that golden phallus in your masculine, and he comes back to life. Doesn't it come back to life? Why do people always say when we first get together, we have to figure each other bodies out? I mean, let's go there, right?
Yeah, of course. How can you know if you don't do it?
Correct.
Well, you have done it in
Hallelujah.
another reality for sure. There are sometimes some things that you don't need to try in this one. You don't need to try them, uh, because you have already tried them in, again, other realities. But for
Correct.
the ones that not and you're interested, go for it. So anyway, um, you know, there was this thing about the shame of creation. That program is hugely imprinted. Like, why, what did you create? Why? And even if you messed up with something, you go bam, bam, bam. Why?
Mm-hmm.
From all the infinite field of probabilities, why that? So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that, again, going into the feminine is the empowerment of trusting our choices and fully continue to co-create. If you created something, you can create another thing, and then you can create it again, or other, or whatever you want to create. But seriously, if we're stepping up into our multidimensional, interdimensional power, we need to rise up. We need to level up in so many ways. You know, including the level of responsibility that we have in our own vessel. So it's about encouraging one another to go limitless in what we can achieve. You know, we have already gone beyond, well, be realistic. What is being realistic? We're interdimensional beings. Like, seriously, what are the limits?
None.
Exactly. So let's start coaching one another, you know, like saying, hey, you're interdimensional, you're multidimensional, you're plasma, you can create whatever you want, you know? Yes, there is a path to get there. Yes. But the more that we encourage one another, we will definitely be restoring, fully restoring that potential energy, being those plasma beings, heading to and being and embodying those light beings that we are already in another reality. You know, so having said this, because I know that you need to go, um, let's summarize it and let's tell people what they will be experiencing in this magnificent retreat to Hawaii and also to Italy, because we will also be having a retreat to Italy to the city of Damanhur. So come on, Adriana,
So
convince
first
me to
come
go
to
with
Lemuria, where we'll be restoring a lot of divine feminine codes, and we're also gonna inspire your and restore your golden phalluses, not in any wrong way that you're thinking. I think the power and the empowerment in each other restores our own phallus, because we each have a feminine and a masculine. That's what I wanted to finish with. And by empowering each other, we restore that golden phallus in each other. When I allow you to fully express yourself and you allow me to fully express myself without judgment, that restores that confidence, that strength, that authority, that authenticity. You're allowing me to be me, I'm allowing you to be you. So you're coming to us to Lemuria codes, all the divine feminine codes, and then you're coming with us to Atlantean codes in Italy, right? So you're getting your divine masculine, right? So we're filling your cup two different ways. One with the Lemurian codes, then with the Atlantean codes, and then trip to Egypt. What are you going to get in trip to Egypt? So many beautiful trips you can have with us. Return to self, um, greater knowledge of mysteries, which you're learning just being here in this live. Yes, Jen, I would absolutely love to meet you. I love that you have 3/8 by your name, infinite number. So
yes.
yes, it is so very powerful that we do connect, that we go to these sacred places. If you feel that you're being called to there, follow. And universe always responds by giving you exactly what you're asking for. So if you're like, oh, financially, I don't know how you're gonna do it, YssaH has a great meditation how to plug into and manifest the financials to travel. How do you think I traveled last year? I did her meditation. I plugged into where I needed to plug into unlimited potential of creation, and financials showed up, and I traveled where I exactly needed to be. So if your heart is being cold, honor that. And don't tell all of this body and all of these amazing cells that you're not gonna do it. Akuriyamate, indeed. You can do anything that you wish to manifest.
Heaven
And it
and
is
earth.
what you tell yourself. Right? It's so powerful what you tell yourself. And so, what I also want to touch upon is divine feminine is that powerful chaos energy that comes in, and the masculine is the one that gives it a form. So you can say he's the one who creates the baby with her, right? So you have this great potential, and then he turns into that. So use both energies, create with us. We will be creating the next level of consciousness. Thank you for being here, because we're already seeding it by listening to this, by being part of this. You already have shifted and changed. You gave your energy to us. We gave our energy to you. We're sharing these beautiful mysteries.
No.
So yes.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers to that. Yes.
So whenever you have finishing thoughts, we're going to bring in some of that divine passion in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, just to again invite you guys, whoever feels called to come with us to Hawaii, know that you will be experiencing, as Adriana was saying, a huge communion of both of your energies, very much related to Lemurian codes, your memories, that we're restoring the whole of records there. Therefore, the initiation of the great remembering, very much connected to the memories of the heart, heart expansion, becoming one with everything, reaching that state of vulnerability, feminine, masculine, and just, reaching home, and of course, starting the restoration of your liquid crystalline lattice, among any other thing that we will be tapping into, as I was sharing, like the spheres of the dragons. We will also be very much connecting to cetacean codes, that genetic encoding related to cetus and the consciousnesses of the whales, dolphins, and so forth. And if you want to join us in Damanhur, this trip, hosted by the Way of Being Foundation, to connect with the Atlantean codes, how to create the communities of New Earth. We will be going to fantastic places as well. One of them is located in the Archangels Michael Lee lines. And so we will be doing a huge activation of one nodal point there, um, along with other practices, Atlantean practices that will be taking place. You can go and check the website. We will also in at the Way of Being to see how beautiful this city is, and the trip to Egypt, of course. Super powerhouse coming up, major Stargate grid activation, network, cosmic nexus, Hall of Records, huge um, mission will be taking place. Big beings joining us, including yourself, if you choose to come, of course. And all of that information will also be uploaded soon. So stay tuned, because like there is already a lot of people interested in joining. So if you want to come, you better uh, let us know, to at least to consider your place. So I will be the emails are in the description below this video, so you can already say, hey, I'm interested. So as soon as all the details are together, we will be sending in the information to you. So send us a mail and put that register, big word, register, interested to join. um I think that's it.
Let's close this off with the
Sure.
attunement for everyone with the divine passion. So deep breath in. Let's connect with the red dragon, fire element. Restoring the correct divine feminine. Releasing the negative masculine that was imposed and limited on the feminine. Open up that root chakra, deep, 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 the cone grounding into the earth. Now connect that root chakra to your throat chakra. Ah. And as Isha would say, Hunuk. So it is.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. For the ones that don't know what Hunuk is Hun is one and Ug is where the one resides. So Hunuk is where source resides, which is within. So thank you so much. That was beautiful. And thank you again for another yeah. Okay, I'm going to go now.
Yes,
I'm
we're back
already,
in a week.
packed
We're
up.
doing another show in a week, talking more of mystery information. Beautiful and amazing Isha will have more information for us. I'm so
Thank you.
excited to what we create again. There's a wealth and these divine feminine series much needed. So
Yeah.
yes, come with us, get upgraded because we're so looking forward to it. We need more of us activated, strong, empowered, divine feminines out there. It doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman, whatever you call yourself, non-binary. We welcome you, to come and join us and be one with us. We love you.
Yay. Thank you so much. I love that. Yes. Let's keep on co-creating. And thank you so much for joining us, for watching this transmission. Thank you so much for your beautiful words, presence, thoughts, feelings. I honor each one of us. And until next time, I love you, Adriana.
Love you.